Your ADHD does not go on vacation when you do. Let's talk about it. So first of all, if you have the ability to go on a vacation, I know that is something that not everybody gets the luxury to do, and it's a beautiful thing. But sometimes knowing that makes the dissonance of not being able to enjoy every part of it even more frustrating. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about how ADHD can impact your vacation. I will say that my husband and I sometimes get to go to Kauai, hence my vacation-y outfit. Kauai, Hawaii, one of the most beautiful places in the world. It's very expensive. It can be very hard for a lot of us to get to that place because it's so far away. This last trip, I was really looking forward to it. We had a kind of a tragic thing happen where my soul animal passed away, and we were just looking to get away for a little bit. I envisioned myself staying in the sand, hearing the ocean waves, going on adventures, soaking in every moment, being very present. And while I did get to do all of those things, it didn't actually end up being that way in practicality. Like, I like to think about myself being very happy and open-minded and optimistic and just in the moment. And sometimes my ADHD can make that version of myself not the present one, if that makes any sense. So how can ADHD impact vacations? Number one is feeling overstimulated in airports. You know, especially with the flight to Kauai, it's a ton of travel. It's a ton of time in the air, waiting around different airports, the hustle and bustle. We know that transitions can be really hard for people with ADHD. Something about it, I know I experienced that myself. Like, I am definitely prone to not wanting to get out of the car. Like, for example, when I go to the grocery store, I'll sit in the car for like 10 minutes before having to go inside because there's something about that transition that's really hard for me. It's no different in airports. Airports are loud. They're overstimulating. There's a bunch of people everywhere. There's a lot of noises, a lot of things to look out for. It can be very high stress, and it's a big transition, especially if you have multiple flights that you have to get on. So that can be really tough for people with ADHD. Another way that ADHD impacts me on vacations is anxiety having to stand still. My ADHD leans heavily towards the inattentive side, so I don't necessarily deal with the outward looking side of hyperactivity. I'm not often like running around everywhere and having a hard time sitting still. Well, actually, on the outside I can look really calm, but internally it's where that hyperactivity takes place. It's hard for me to be in one spot. It's hard for me to especially feel secured in one spot, like I can't leave. So what ends up happening, especially on these beautiful hikes, is my husband will be taking insanely beautiful shots of photography, and it will require me to stand there, maybe hold on to his trekking poles, and I'm just waiting for him. And although I know I should be taking in the moment, there's something inside of me that's feeling antsy and agitated, like I just want to keep going to like get to the destination. So that feeling can be really tough, and I know a lot of us can experience that difficulty of just being still when our minds and our bodies want to be like, we gotta go do the thing. And strong emotions in general, you know, there is that saying, like, you know, how to tell if you're going to be a good partner with somebody is to go on a vacation with them. And I think that is because there's so many moving parts. There's so many extreme expectations before you go on the vacation. Like, you spend a lot of money, you spend a lot of time leading up to it, planning and dreaming. And oftentimes we set our expectations so high that the reality just can't live up to it. And even if the environment can live up to it, like Kauai is one of the most, if not the most beautiful place in the world. So the environment is going to live up to your standards, but that doesn't mean that you will live up to your standards. And one frustrating thing about ADHD is our inability to be consistent with things, and that includes our emotional stability. Okay, so let's just say you've done that trip, you've gotten through being overstimulated in the airport, feeling stuck in the seat for so long, feeling very agitated and antsy in your body, and then you finally get there and your ADHD follows you. It doesn't go on vacation with you. So you're in these beautiful places and you're still feeling antsy. You're having a hard time controlling your emotions. And one area where I struggle is my anxiety about safety around doing intense hikes. So we'll have these beautiful hikes planned and I know they're dangerous. I know I've been Googling like how many people have gotten injured or worse on these hikes and how can I prevent that? And people with ADHD can be quite accident prone. It makes me really nervous. And so what should be like a beautiful hike and lots of fun ends up being me anxious about it in the beginning. And that can lead to irritability. And it can look like that to my partner. Instead of wanting to be that version of myself where I'm enjoying the moment, I'm anxious about it. I'm nervous about safety. That can be really frustrating for me and my partner. Really frustrating for him too, I imagine. Of course, I have some advice for you if you're in a similar boat, or if you have a vacation coming up and you want to make sure that your ADHD isn't going to ruin the party. You cannot turn your brain off and just relax. You can bring your medications if you have them, which I'm sure will help you. But at the end of the day, your brain is your brain is your brain. It's going to follow you. So while you can't necessarily relax in every moment, you can be kinder to yourself and you can still enjoy your trip. So let's talk about these tips. A really big one to start with is actually to remind yourself that it's temporary. And by it, I mean the feelings of overstimulation, especially in the airport, like knowing that when you're waiting in line and people are bumping into you and you know you're going to have to take off your shoes to go through security and for some reason that's making you feel really anxious. All of those things are temporary. All you have to do is focus on the next step and you will get through it. And that goes for really any parts of the unfortunate parts of your vacation, right? Is to just remind yourself this overstimulation is temporary. Eventually, I'm going to be in a place where I feel comfortable. And other practical things you can do to avoid the overstimulation part, especially in the airport, is make sure that you're bringing headphones, that your headphones are charged. Bring a backup pair if you need to. Do not depend on the free headphones on the flight because those are just horrific. I mean, it's really nice that they give them to you, but they're not great. But bring headphones so that you can kind of shut out the environment around you. Make sure you have books or activities to keep yourself occupied to help you focus on something that you enjoy rather than keeping yourself kind of raw and open to all of the stimulation around you. My next tip for you is to use grounding techniques if you are feeling anxious or overstimulated. The nice thing about these grounding techniques is that you can do them anywhere. You don't have to get up or out of your seat, so you can do it when you're stuck in an airport seat for too long or on a bus or wherever you may be. And the other nice thing is the whole reason why grounding techniques work, and it's quite literally in the name, is that it gets you out of your head and back into your body. So by focusing on your body, it just allows you to feel more present and in the moment and get out of those anxious thoughts in your head. So one of my favorite grounding techniques to use is the 5-4-3-2-1 method, which is 5 things that you can see around you, 4 things that you can feel, like I feel this chair, I feel my outfit, 3 things that you can hear, 2 things that you can smell, and 1 thing that you can taste. And you just go through all of those grounding techniques and you quite literally orient yourself to place and time. And there's a few more grounding techniques, but we're not going to talk about it in this video. If you'd like to know more, let me know your interest down below and I'd be happy to share more. This next tip is the biggest one I can share with you and probably the biggest message I share in general when it comes to ADHD, and that is to be kind to yourself. You do not have to enjoy or be grateful for every single moment of your vacation in order to have a good time or to be a good person. It's okay to have moments where you're not enjoying yourself. It's okay to be frustrated when the temperature is too hot or the wait times are too long or your feet hurt or you're scared or nervous about a new experience. You can acknowledge that you're feeling those things and move through it. The biggest thing that you can do for yourself is not beat yourself up for having those feelings. And I myself am very guilty of that. During these moments, like during the last vacation, I felt guilty over not being more present and happy-go-lucky and in the moment all of the time. I was that way for a lot of the time, but there were also moments where I was scared of falling off a cliff, okay? Like that was a fear of mine, and that's okay to be scared of and do it anyways, Also knowing where those negative emotions are stemming from, like looking for the source, can help alleviate some of that guilt of being ungrateful that you're experiencing. So for that example that I shared of being scared, I'm looking like I'm not having a good time because I'm afraid of falling off a cliff. That's a very natural and justified feeling to have in that moment, and it's not something that I should feel guilt over experiencing. And my last tip for you to make sure that your ADHD isn't completely overtaking your vacation is to communicate with those around you. This is a really, really big one. I am hoping that you have people around you that acknowledge, believe, and understand your experience with ADHD. That can be a luxury. Not all of us have that. But if you do, communicate with those around you. It's as simple as saying, you know, I'm scared right now because of this, and I know it's not super justified, and I'm working through it, and I'm still having a good time. So the person with you isn't being like, why? I mean, I paid all this money for this trip, and I want to have a good time, and you're being a little pain in the butt, you know? This also works for being overstimulated. When I am overstimulated in a stressful environment, I probably don't look like I'm having a good time. I probably look more like this. Just by communicating to my husband, like, I am having a good time, I'm happy we're here, but I am very overstimulated by the loud noises, so I'm going to put my headphones on and I'm probably not going to engage with you much. It's as simple as that. It might feel overly simple to a lot of us, right? Or it can feel really scary to share those things out loud. But I'm telling you, sharing them out loud is going to give the people with you more context to what's going on, and it's going to validate it for yourself too. You'll hear it out loud and you'll be like, oh yeah, that's a totally reasonable explanation. And hopefully the people with you, if you have them with you, are going to be like, of course, that makes sense. How can I help support you? So that's it for our video today, all about how ADHD can impact your vacations if you're lucky enough to have them, and how to still enjoy them anyways, because you deserve to be on a vacation. You deserve to have a relaxing and fun and beautiful time. If you got any value out of this, please like this video. Please subscribe if you can. Share it with your friends. It's hard to get this channel going, I will say, but that's on me. I'm gonna make it more exciting for you. I'm gonna figure it out. Thank you for watching this video. As always, be kind to yourself, be kind to others, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.